which you do not hate, you will eventually tolerate. I think that identifies most people's lives. Average becomes sort of like this slow asphyxiation. It's almost like an anesthetic. Left to my own devices, if you just left me like what I'd like to do, I have no problem laying around. I like sleeping. People think they meet people like, they're robots, they're other life forms, they're just different than me. No. We build habits, rituals, and disciplines that serve us. Now, part of those habits, rituals, and disciplines have sort of turned me into a more confident person. There's no question about that. So my standards are mandatory because you get your standards. The reason my standards are so high is because I don't want to leave it up to my own devices. My standard is 1 more minute on the treadmill. My standard is 1 more person I can reach that day, 1 more phone call, 1 more something. And so for me, I raise them every single year, but the way I get to do it is I link it to my reasons. Goals are really empty to me. You show me someone with compelling, emotional, gigantic reasons, I'll show you someone who's changing their standards all day long. I had a world-class doctor who understood reasons and leverage instead of prescribing. He goes, let me ask you a question. I said, yeah, I have a son. And he says, do you want to be there when he graduates from high school? To be there for that day? I said, yes, sir, yeah. He goes, your wife's pregnant. What do you have? And I said, a daughter. Would you like to walk her down the aisle on her wedding day, or are you okay that it's some other man? I want to be very clear with you. If you keep going down the road you're going, there'll be some other man with your son at graduation high school, and a stranger's walking your daughter down the aisle that's not even born yet on her wedding day. And so to this day, my standards are high because of my big old reasons. Other dudes may miss the gym that day because they're not going to miss their daughter's wedding if they don't go, but I've convinced myself I'll miss my daughter's wedding. So I will get my out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I will get to that gym because my reasons are bigger, so my standards are higher.
Napoleon Hill says, begin with the end in mind. What if you did that with your life? What if you began with the end of your life in mind and worked it backwards? See, when we begin to distill down and we realize, yeah, there's a power to 1 more because they're not promised how many we have. Life is beautiful, it's precious, and sometimes we only have an appreciation for it in its absence. Sometimes we only have an appreciation for the power of the 1 mores or the people in our lives when we imagine their absence.
That which you do not hate, you will eventually tolerate. I think that identifies most people's lives. Average becomes sort of like this slow asphyxiation. It's almost like an anesthetic. Over time, we become kind of immune and dulled to the average that we're becoming. I know this is true, at least for me. You probably experience it yourself too. And so over time, we sort of minimize where we're at. In other words, I'm a little pudgy instead of being, no, you're you don't magnify the degree to which the pain ought to be affecting you. You're going to get out of your life what you'll accept. That's really difficult for people, I think, to understand is, look, what you think you're worth and what you're going to tolerate is absolutely what you're going to bring into your life. I live by that. Like, I let myself sort of feel the pain and the difficulty of being not where I want to be in whatever that area is, whether it's my spirituality, my relationships, my money. I let myself feel that pain because, as you know, there's 2 motivators, right? There's the gaining of pleasure, but then there's the avoidance of pain. If I come back in a year and I'm just the same exact person with the same thoughts, same ideas, same ways of delivering them, this was a wasted year of my life. I want to know how to get to that next version of me. For those of you that struggle with taking criticism, you got to ask yourself, how important is it to you to grow? Because you were put on earth to grow, to contribute, to serve, to help. And the current version of you is perfect as it stands right now, but it will be inferior next year. You're perfect as you are now. You are perfect as you exist right now. But that version of you isn't sufficient next year. You got to be crazy, hungry, crisis to get to that next version of you. Not only are all achievers doing that, but all happy people do that. So if you want a different life, an improved life, a growing life, an increased life, this version of you is inferior to get to that place.